Hi there, I'm back. And so this is part one of your training series that you have enrolled in. And so I'm super thrilled about that. Again, make sure that you watch the emails, watch for them, don't miss them, and that you're a member of the Coach Speak and Serve Lounge on Facebook and that you're following me everywhere at Epic April. Now let's talk about you as an author. Now here's what's interesting about authorship. Authors are amazing. They're everywhere. And let's be honest. Really, it's kind of been diluted a little bit because anyone can publish a book. You can publish a 2-page book literally these days. And so here's a few things that you can do. I want to give you at least 3 things that you can do to maximize your authorship. And here's the misconception. So let's first talk misconception. So whether you've written your book and published it already, which is primarily who I'm speaking to, or if you are you're finished and maybe it's at the editor, let's talk about the author component and what you have to look forward to. First of all, let me just share with you, I'm sharing this with you in this order because this was my exact process. I was an author first, had an idea, and I just wanted to help people. Isn't that noble, right? And I think most of us start off that way. We just want to help people. And then we realize how much work it is to actually help people. And then we decide which way we want to go. Do we want to go ministry? Do we want to just do it for fun? Or do we want to really build a business? And I'm assuming if you're watching, then you really want to build a business because that's what I'm here to help you do. So in authorship, one of the things that I understood quickly was that ABS, always be selling the book, and I'm going to talk more about that here in a moment. But the first thing is, once your book is, first of all, people often ask, the most commonly asked question is, when should I start promoting my book that I have for sale? And the answer to that question is, it depends. If you have not established credibility, built a name for yourself, people don't really know you as an author yet, or whatever it is that you're writing about, my recommendation is a year, 6 months to a year. 6 months to a year is a great opportunity for you to start to rev up your audience, for you to start to create some synergy around your subject matter. Whether you're writing to entertain, writing to educate, or what have you, you have the opportunity to start to build a platform around those specific topics and get people talking so that they have something to look forward to. I really relate writing a book similarly to having a baby. When someone's pregnant, they tell you typically, hey, I just found out I'm pregnant, right? They're usually 6-8 weeks, something like that, maybe a couple months, right? And that lets people know there's something coming, right? There's something they get to look forward to. And that is what you want with the book. You don't want to just have a book one day, right? Let me see if I have one of my books here on my desk. You don't want to just wake up and suddenly there's just a book on, Padow, there's a book. That really doesn't work for people. It doesn't get them, they're like, well, what is the book about? Oh my God, I didn't even know you were writing a book. Instead, you want pre-orders and people anticipating and sharing and already planning, in-home parties for readings in your local area and wanting you to come to their town and that sort of thing. So that's my number one thing is make sure that you promote in advance, that you don't wait, and that while you may not have a website or this or that or all the things you believe you need, and I'm not saying you don't want to have them, but what I'm saying is it costs nothing to have a conversation. It's almost costs nothing to build an audience. Right? You have the power of social media where you can create fan pages or groups, private communities, and start inviting people and having conversations around your subject matter. That's the number one thing. For those of you who are seasoned, that's something we often forget because ABS, always be selling. The book only sells when you sell the book. This is my second book. It's an anthology called Fabulous New Life. I've written 3, working on 4 books at the time of this video. And so that's the number one thing. The second thing is for anyone looking to create, especially a grassroots buzz, and that is home parties. I'm such a fan of book clubs and home parties. How many of the people that you know would be interested in having the author come to their house, having the author sitting in their living room, having the author read from their book with their friends, taking pictures, answering questions, and that sort of thing. And then they get the opportunity to then buy your book. Wouldn't you love that? That also, and when we talk about coaching in a couple days, I'm going to talk about how you can parlay that into coaching and speaking engagements. But just stay with me. Even for some of you all, if you've heard this before, repetition is the mother of learning. So just stay with me. So again, the home parties. And so let me just give you an example. Let's say your book is $20, which by the way, I do believe that when you write a book, it should always be at least $20. None of these $10 books, $12.99, $15.99, unless it's a children's book. There's no point. Stop making people need change. Just create a $20 book already. And so if you're having home parties, you can simply put out something on social media. You can create an event. You can create a landing page utilizing tools such as, Entreport or GetResponse or Lead Pages or ActiveCampaign, for example, or MailChimp. Create some sort of form where people can sign up. You can even, for free, create a Google form. If you're using Gmail, you click on the little squares in your email. You click it. You click Drive. Then you can click New. And then it'll say Google Docs. You can click that. You can also create a form where people can submit and fill out if they're interested in getting a pre-book signing, a pre-book in-home event. So for me, my initial book was called Confessions of an Independent Woman, and it's my memoir. And so we called it Confessions and Cocktails. And we would have between 10 and 25 women in someone's home. The host would make hors d'oeuvres and they would invite their friends. I wouldn't have to promote. You don't have to promote. That's a great way. That's my number 2. A great way to leverage you being an author and to always be selling the book. As an entrepreneur, you already know there's tons of things you need money for all the time. You need this and that and opt-in here and strategy there, webinar there. You need all these things and generate the additional revenue to offset the expenses that you're going to need. And booking home parties is, I believe, just a great way to do that. Also, you can connect with, as well as number 2, with the smaller events. I think they go over well because people appreciate the fact that you've done it. And to be quite frank with you, it's great for leveraging. You can get great images and it can help build up the credibility that you're really doing this thing. You're really doing it for real. Number 3 is you can plan a virtual or regional or national book tour if you want. I'm leaning towards regional, meaning in your city, or a book tour virtually. So let's talk about the both of them. This is my number 3. So number 3, if you're doing some sort of tour, whether it's virtual, let's talk virtual first, and then we'll talk about regional. So virtually, let's say, for example, you contacted several bloggers, and those bloggers you gave them a PDF, a media review copy of your book in advance. And they then wrote a blog about your book, and basically it was a review. And then in exchange for that, they get a free book, or maybe a couple of free books, right? Autographed from you. And they get to review your book. And they get to share that. And that's other properties that are linked back to you, giving you additional credibility. See, it's great if you toot your own horn, but it's even greater if someone else is tooting it for you. So that's another idea from the virtual book tour. What does that mean? For example, let's say you're going on a 8-week tour. Let's say you have 2 bloggers a week. And every time the blogs come out, you're sharing it on your social media. Not only are you sharing it on your social media, but potentially you're also boosting those posts as well to get even more visibility out of your fan pages, for example. Again, if I'm saying anything that's over your head, just make sure you hit the reply button, ask questions, or shoot us up, hit us up in the community. Shoot us up. I don't think I've ever said shoot us up before. Scratch. Let's scratch shoot us up. Hit us up in the Coach Speak and Serve Lounge, #question, and just ask. #driven success as well, because that is the journey that we're on right now. So again, that is a great opportunity. Again, it costs you nothing to have bloggers write on your behalf because they're getting something in exchange as well. So don't forget that. And then the other part B to number 3, is then a regional tour. So let's say, for example, one of our clients, Carlisha Williams, amazing. She wrote this amazing book. It's a 14-day journey about choosing faith over fear. Now, it's a very spiritual message. So she did a book tour. One of the things we helped and coached her through was a book tour in local churches in our state. So she didn't just go local in the city. She went in the state. We're in Oklahoma City. So could you do that? Could you contact 5 entities that are similar in niche that would be a perfect audience for your book? Could you contact them and get yourself booked? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, your questions may be, should I charge them? Should I do this? Well, we're going to talk about that in video number 2 on speaking. But I will say that, yes, I'll give you that right now. Of course you can. But even if you don't, there's strategies for that. And again, we're going to talk about that because what I'm sharing with you is how do you parlay authorship into speaking into coaching. And so authors are great because you have a book that lasts forever. It can make money forever. You can create programs, which is my bonus to this, is what can you do? What all can you do with the book? And that is you can create programs for coaching. And I'm going to talk about that in the last video when we get to the life and business coaching and what that looks like. But for now, just to recap, our 1, 2, 3s here was the very first thing is to understand that you always have to be selling your book. You're published. Now what do you do? Right? And you have to be promoting it in advance. Right? And how long? You can do 6 months up to a year to promote it. Now, let's say you're a part of an anthology. Still, even at least 90 days to 6 months is a great time period for you to be promoting your specific book. Okay. The second thing was to make sure that you do some home party, small book clubs, because that can generate you some fast cash to do other things you need to in your business. You got a conference to go to, boom, go sell some books. You have, overhead to pay for, boom, go sell some books. You always could be selling those books. Here's a quick little side ninja tactic. Why don't you go ahead and create a similar, maybe a variation of 5 to 8 messages, marketing messages that sell your book with a link, and just schedule them. Schedule them one for every other day. Every other day. That way you never have to remember to promote your book. And you can promote it in a non-salesy way. You can share snippets of chapters. And when I say snippets, I mean tweetables, quotes, click here to read the rest sort of thing, right? So you have the opportunity to really maximize that. And then number 3 was the tour. You can either do a blog tour, and I just shared with you how to do that, you can do a regional tour as well. And then of course, national if you want to. And that would just be identifying what cities you want to go to and where in those cities you want to do those signings. I think in the essence of time and money, and let's just face it, in this new world that we're in, you don't have to travel. You can stay at home and make just as much, if not more, revenue, make just as much impact, and create just as much credibility for yourself, sitting right in your office or your home office, doing what you love. And so those are my 3 for today. For the authorship, again, I'm April Franks Hunt, Master Coach and President of Coach Speak and Serve. Continue to follow. I'll see you tomorrow for the next training on speaking.